To my family, I'm a ghost. I'm the 28-year-old daughter who lives on her computer, a cautionary tale of wasted potential they whisper about at family dinners. I'm the quiet one, the one who never quite launched, the one whose career is a vague, embarrassing question mark they try to avoid in front of their friends. To them, my life happens in the shadows of my small apartment, a life of digital noise and social absence. But to 15 million other people scattered across the globe, I am not a ghost, I am a god. They know me as Astra, the lead designer and world builder of Ethelgard, one of the biggest online role-playing games on the planet. In the world I built, I am the architect of mountains and the creator of kings. I write the histories of ancient civilizations, design the creatures that haunt forgotten forests, and weave narrative threads that bring thousands of players together in shared quests for glory. My days are spent managing a team of artists, writers, and programmers making executive decisions that affect a virtual economy larger than that of some small countries. In my world, I'm powerful, respected, and revered. In my family's world, I'm just Maya, the weird little sister who plays video games all day. My older sister, Chloe, is the family's real success story. At 32, she is a top-performing real estate agent in the city's luxury condo market. She is a supernova of ambition, all sharp angles, power suits, and a laugh that sounds like closing a deal. Her success is tangible, something my parents can understand and brag about. She drives a Tesla. Her Instagram is a curated gallery of closing day photos with wealthy clients, and she measures her worth in six-figure commissions. She sees my life not with malice exactly, but with a kind of pitying condescension, as if I were a child who simply refused to put away her toys. This dynamic was cemented years ago. I remember one Christmas dinner vividly. Chloe, then a rising star at her firm, was holding court, telling a dramatic story about selling a penthouse to a foreign diplomat. My parents hung on her every word, their faces glowing with pride. "A 7-figure sale, can you believe it?" my father boomed to my uncle. "That's my girl." Later, as we were clearing the table, my mother turned to me with that familiar worried look. "Maya, honey," she said, her voice a soft, concerned whisper. "Chloe was saying her firm needs a new receptionist. It would be a real job, you know, with benefits. Isn't it time you thought about moving on from all this?" She gestured vaguely at me, as if all this encompassed my entire being. "Mom, I have a real job," I said for what felt like the 100th time. "I'm a lead designer. I manage a team." Chloe, overhearing from the doorway, let out a short, sharp laugh. "Managing a team of what, elves and wizards, Mom? It's a hobby. A very time-consuming hobby. Let her have her fun." They couldn't see it. They couldn't understand that the silly game I worked on was a massive, intricate universe, a global community, a multi-million-dollar enterprise. It was easier for them to file me away under disappointment than to try and comprehend a world they had no interest in. So I learned to live two lives. I built empires online, and then sat silently at family dinners, listening to my sister talk about escrow. I had created entire worlds complete with their own histories, politics, and gods. But in the small, cramped world of my own family, I was still just the weird little sister who refused to grow up and get a real job. For a full hour after Chloe's call, I just sat there staring at the login screen for Ethelgard. My first instinct was to say no, to text back a polite excuse about a work deadline, a deadline only. I would know involved finalizing the law for a new demigod, and not as my family imagined playing a game. It would be easy to retreat into the world where I was respected, where my name, or at least my pseudonym, carried weight. Instead, I logged into the private developer server chat. This was my real office, my real community. My team, a scattered group of brilliant misfits from around the world, knew me only as Astra. They knew my mind, my work ethic, my vision. They had no idea what my sister did for a living. I typed out a message into the main channel. "Okay, team, I need advice on a social stealth quest I've just been assigned. Primary objective, attend a dinner party hosted by my sister, the real success story. Secondary objective, impress a tech billionaire she's trying to land as a client. Debuff. I have been instructed not to talk about elves or dragons and to act normal." Thoughts. The response was immediate. Kael, our lead combat designer in Finland, sent a string of laughing emojis. Wait, hold on. The architect of the Whispering Peaks expansion has to pretend she's normal for her real estate sister. This is gold. Lyra. My head writer, based in Scotland, chimed in. Treat it like an infiltration mission, Astra. Your cover is unemployed little sister. Your mission is to observe the local customs, gather intel on the target this billionaire, and extract yourself with your sanity intact. Bonus points, if you can make her talk of closing costs and property taxes sound incredibly boring. Their reactions, their complete and utter amusement at the absurdity of my real-life predicament, felt like a shield. They saw the situation for what it was, a ridiculous play. They weren't seeing me through the lens of family history and disappointment. They saw me as Astra, the capable and revered leader of their world. Their perspective gave me the distance I needed. I typed back, okay, quest accepted. Wish me luck. They were right. This wasn't a family obligation to be dreaded. It was a quest. A bizarre, high-stakes role-playing game in the real world. My objective was clear. I wasn't going there to seek their approval or to try and change their minds. I was going as an observer, an anthropologist studying a strange and foreign tribe. With this new mindset, preparing for the party felt different. It wasn't about trying to impress them, it was about choosing my armor. I went through my closet, bypassing anything that looked like I was trying too hard. Chloe would be in something bright, sharp, and expensive, a dress designed to be a statement. I chose the opposite. I picked a simple, perfectly cut black dress made of a heavy silk that didn't wrinkle. It was understated elegant and almost severe in its simplicity. It wasn't a dress designed to compete with Chloe's fireworks. It was a dress designed to absorb light, to be a quiet, unshakable presence. I did my makeup minimally, pulled my hair back into a sleek bun, and looked at my reflection. I didn't see the disappointing little sister. I saw a character I was about to play equipped for her mission. I was logging in. Chloe's home wasn't a home, it was a showroom. Everything was white marble, brushed steel, and shades of grey. A single enormous abstract painting hung on one wall, a piece I knew for a fact had cost more than my car. The floor-to-ceiling windows looked out onto a breathtaking cityscape, a view designed to communicate power. The air was filled with the low hum of quiet networking and the scent of expensive perfume. I felt my armor of calm detachment being tested the moment I stepped inside. This was not my world. Chloe greeted me at the door with a kiss that landed somewhere in the air beside my cheek. Her smile was wide and bright, but it was for the benefit of her guests, not for me. Maya. You made it, she exclaimed, her voice a little too loud. Everyone. This is my little sister I was telling you about. The way she said little sister made me sound like a child. She was begrudgingly babysitting for the evening. My parents immediately cornered me near the coat closet. Maya, dear, my mother whispered, her eyes scanning my simple black dress with obvious concern. Are you still looking for a real job? I have a friend whose law firm is hiring a paralegal. It's a very respectable position. My father nodded in agreement, adding, A steady paycheck is nothing to be ashamed of, honey. They meant well, I knew, but their concern was a heavy, suffocating blanket of disapproval. I gave them a tight smile and promised I would think about it, a lie we all accepted. After about an hour of my trying to look absorbed in a potted orchid, Chloe grabbed my arm. He's here. Come on, I want to introduce you. She pulled me toward a small group of men at the center of which stood a man who did not look like a billionaire. Damien Vance was unassuming, dressed in a simple dark sweater and trousers, and he had a quiet, observant stillness about him that made everyone else in the room seem loud and performative. He looked profoundly bored. Mr. Vance, so wonderful to see you again, Chloe said, her voice practically purring. I'd like you to meet my sister Maya. Mr. Vance turned his keen eyes meeting mine. He gave me a polite, professional handshake. A pleasure, Maya, he said. His voice was quiet. And what is it that you do? He asked a standard polite party question. Before I could deliver my vague, pre-rehearsed line about being a freelance digital artist, Chloe jumped in with a tinkling laugh. Oh, Maya is our family's resident creative spirit. She's very artistic. Currently, exploring her options. She dismissed my entire career with a wave of her hand and immediately pivoted back to the only subject she deemed worthy of Mr. Vance's attention herself. Speaking of which, Mr. Vance, the zoning board, approved the preliminary plans for that lakeside property we discussed. The potential for redevelopment is even greater than we thought. She launched into a detailed monologue about property values and investment returns, effectively erasing me from the conversation. I stood there, an awkward satellite in my sister's orbit, and I did exactly what I had planned. I stuck to my quest objective. I smiled politely, nodded when it seemed appropriate, and observed. I watched as Mr. Vance listened, his expression unreadable. I watched as my sister preened and performed, laying out her value and ambition for him to see. I wasn't a participant in this scene. I was an analyst gathering data. And the data I was gathering was that my sister had no idea who she was talking to, and no idea who she was ignoring. As the server announced that dinner was served, I felt a strange sense of calm. The game was afoot, of course. Here is part 5 of the story covering the pivotal dinner table scene. Dinner was an elaborate multi-course affair. I sat between my father and the wife of one of Chloe's colleagues, a woman whose name I immediately forgot. The conversation flowed around me, a river of talk about interest rates, vacation homes in Aspen, and the merits of a particular private school. I remained in my role as observer, eating my food silently, a ghost at the feast. My parents, seated near the head of the table, directed all their questions to Chloe, their pride in her radiating with almost physical warmth. They were in their element, their daughter holding court with a billionaire at the table as the ultimate validation of their family's success. The moment I had been dreading arrived with the dessert course. The woman beside me, perhaps trying to be polite after an hour of ignoring me, turned with a bright, curious smile. "We've heard so much about Chloe's incredible career," she said. "Maya, what about you? What field are you in?" The question, though innocent, made the table fall quiet for a beat. All eyes turned to me. I felt a familiar heat creep up my neck. I opened my mouth to deliver my vague, safe line about being a freelance digital artist. But before I could speak, Chloe let out a loud theatrical laugh that drew every last bit of attention in the room. "Oh, you don't have to be so modest." "Maya, tell them," she said, her tone dripping with condescending encouragement. She leaned forward, a conspiratorial smirk on her face. She was enjoying this. She was going to answer for me. "My sister is one of the most dedicated people I know." Chloe began, her voice full of false admiration. "She spends 12, sometimes 14 hours a day, focused on her work. She's actually one of the top-ranked players in the world." She paused, letting the statement hang in the air before delivering the punchline, at her favorite video game. "She's practically a professional." A few of Chloe's sycophantic friends tittered. My mother's smile became a tight, pained line. My father cleared his throat and took a sudden deep interest in his tiramisu. Chloe, however, was just warming up. It's true, she insisted, as if I were a fascinating science experiment, while I'm out here in the real world navigating the complexities of the multi-million-dollar luxury real estate market. My little sister is at home slaying digital dragons. It's a different kind of market, I suppose. She looked around the table, her eyes sparkling with malice. But hey, every family needs one, right? The creative one, the dreamer. The way she said dreamer made it sound synonymous with loser. It was a public execution, delivered with a smile. She had taken my life, my passion, the world I had poured my heart and soul into, and reduced it to a childish caricature for the amusement of her wealthy friends. I felt my cheeks burning, a humiliation so profound it left me breathless. I wanted to shrink, to disappear, to be anywhere but there, pinned by the pitying and amused glances of a dozen strangers. Chloe, having landed her final blow, smoothly changed the subject back to a recent property sale, leaving me to sit in the crater she had just created. I stared down at my plate, my dessert untouched. But as I risked a glance up, I saw one person at the table who wasn't smiling or looking away in embarrassment. It was Damien Vance. He was looking directly at me, not with pity, but with a sharp, focused curiosity, an expression I had never seen before. It was the look of a man who had just been given a very interesting, unexpected piece of data. Chloe, basking in the glow of her successful put-down, gracefully steered the conversation back to business, leaving me to sit in the echoing silence of my own humiliation. My father gave her a subtle, approving nod. My mother looked relieved that the awkward moment was over. I picked up my water glass, my hand trembling slightly, and tried to disappear. But the silence was broken by an unexpected voice. "I'm sorry," said Damien Vance, his tone quiet, but carrying an authority that immediately cut through Chloe's monologue about zoning permits. He wasn't looking at Chloe. He was looking directly at me. I was just interested. "You said something about slaying digital dragons?" Chloe's smile faltered. She shot me a warning look. "Oh, it's nothing, Mr. Vance. Just a silly hobby. Mr. Vance ignored her completely, his gaze still fixed on me. What game? He asked again, a genuine curiosity in his eyes. Trapped. I felt my voice come out as a whisper. It's a game called Ethelgard. The change in Damien Vance's demeanor was instantaneous and absolute. The bored-reserved billionaire vanished, replaced by an excited, engaged fan. His eyes widened, and he leaned forward, placing his elbows on the table. Ethelgard, he said, a slow smile spreading across his face. You're kidding me. I have logged over 1,000 hours in Ethelgard. My God, the world-building is extraordinary. The narrative design, the economic balancing, the lore. It's a masterpiece. The lead designer, the one they call Astra, is an absolute genius. He shook his head in admiration. My venture capital firm tried to acquire the development studio last year for 9 figures, but she or he, no one knows, wouldn't sell. My sister's face had gone completely pale. My parents were staring utterly bewildered. Mr. Vance continued, a thought dawning on his face as he looked at me. He noted my quietness throughout the dinner, my sister's condescending description of my creative life, my one-word answer. The pieces clicked into place behind his keen analytical eyes. The subtle narrative threads, the way the world feels so lived in and real, he said, his voice dropping slightly with dawning realization. You're not just a player, are you? He stared at me, his expression a mix of awe and disbelief. My God, you're Astra, aren't you? The entire table went silent. Every eye was on me. Chloe looked like she had seen a ghost. I felt a surge of adrenaline, a dizzying sense of my two worlds about to collide. I took a deep breath, and for the first time that night I met my sister's shocked gaze, and I didn't flinch. I turned back to Mr. Vance and gave a small, steady nod. Yes, I said, my voice clear. That's me. Damien Vance threw his head back and let out a genuine booming laugh of pure delight. He pushed his chair back, stood up, and extended his hand across the table to me, ignoring everyone else. It is an absolute unmitigated honor to meet you, he said, his voice ringing with respect. He shook my hand firmly. The world you built has given me more joy and intellectual stimulation than any multi-million-dollar house I have ever lived in. He then let go of my hand and turned to my stunned sister, his expression all business once more. Chloe, thank you for a lovely dinner, but I'm afraid my interest in the lakeside estate has waned. My investment priorities have just shifted. He turned his warm, respectful gaze back to me. Miss Thompson, Astra, I don't want to buy your game. I want to invest in whatever you build next. My office will call you tomorrow. Name your price.